things like rapeseed oil and acidity regulators, they all mess up your gut biome, which is probably the most important bit of your body, especially for your immune system, which is why your mum got better from eating her plant-based diet when she got the cancers, was because it was all to do, it's all, whatever you put in you goes into your gut.
Yeah.
So if you mess up your gut biome with sugars and bad fats and rapeseed oils and these kind of things, all the seed oils, if you mess up that biome, then your immune system is going to be weakened at the same time.
So how, if you, right, because I've got friends who just eat terribly and they're constantly getting ill and they're like, what can I take? So I know what I have, and I mean, I don't know whether you've ever heard of bee propolis. Our family have had this for years. They're derived from honey. So they're tablets, they're capsules, and it's specifically for colds and stuff. But anyway, they're all organic and it's got stuff from bees. And whenever a cold or a flu, I get a little sniff or whatever, I have about 4 every few hours, and I tell you, I do not get a cold or a flu. And they're just unbelievable, they're natural, I tell it to everyone, but that's not enough for some people. What would you say to someone who just eats whatever, always ill, where to start with what to eat just to build that immune system up?
Well, I'd say the first thing you need to do is to just generally look at, do some research into what you are eating yourself, that one person, that particular person is eating, and do some research of the ingredients of those things. So if you're eating a lot of Cadbury's chocolate, go and look at the ingredients of Cadbury's chocolate, go and Google all the different things of that are all the different ingredients in there, and just understand that stuff, if you're overeating it, you're putting all that in your body all the time. Now, it's okay to have as a treat, which is what these things are meant to be, is a treat. They're not supposed to be an everyday thing. They're supposed to be a treat. A little bit of sugar now and then, that's not really going to do you that much damage. But if you're putting sugar in your coffee, and then you put sprinkling sugar on this and sprinkling sugar on that, and then you go and having a chocolate bar, and then you go and have some sweets, by the time an end of the day comes, you've had a cup full of sugar without even realising you've had a cup full of sugar. You might think you just had a spoonful.
Yeah, because as well, people do not know that it's in your canned soup. It's in everything. Everything unless you've made by yourself with your own hands from scratch. You can guarantee that that's got a horrendous amount of sugar and salt. And like you said, by the end of the day, if that person truly knew how much sugar that they've actually
then that should scare them just to look at that. If they then read what sugar actually does and how it feeds cancer and how it feeds all sorts of diseases. So that's the first thing I'd tell them. And then otherwise, like I say, Katie, to me, it's simple. If you eat natural, generally homemade, or if you're going out, try and go to not a chain restaurant, not a mass-produced food restaurant, go to a local business, small family restaurant or something where the food's going to be fresher and they're going to use proper ingredients. And just try and eat healthily and normally. And the other most important thing, which I'm a big believer of, I do a lot of, is exercise. And if you have balanced exercise and you have balanced eat, I'm a great believer in balancing all things. So balanced exercise, balanced eating, balanced sleeping. You know, if you do your exercise and you eat properly, generally people will sleep, I think, a lot better than I have. A lot of people will say, I can't sleep or I don't sleep, and or this, that and the other. But I think if you eat a balanced diet and you do a balanced exercise, that you're going to get a balanced sleep. And I think that's the way God made it to be. You know, I'm not a believer at all, like we started off as some little microbe in the sea and then crawled out onto a beach and somehow developed arms and legs and stuff like that.
The intricacy of the body and every vein and every vessel. But no, we were just a microbe from a big bang of random occurrence. Okay,
So I don't believe we're any of that, and I think God created us to have a balance in life, and I think the Bible teaches us that, as far as I know, and I'm not as well read on the Bible, it certainly is you, but I would imagine from what I've read that if you have a balance in life of all these things, that you're gonna be okay, you know, and you have trust in faith and faith in God, that you're gonna be okay.
That's number one, though, isn't it? Because without the faith and the trust in God, you are out in the wind, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all good and well being healthy as anything, but then going to hell.
Exactly. you can be the best trainer in the world, but if you've got no faith and you've got no you don't know God, then you're gonna really lead a bit of a sad existence for me, because what do you believe then?
They believe in themselves, they believe in the science, they believe in, you know, they're worshipping they're worshipping a whole different thing, aren't they? It's the idea of being perfect, isn't it?
There's many people worship many things. I think there's people that worship the ego. There's people that worship the new age, sort of Mother Earthy stuff. There's people that worship all these different things, but it's like I go back to the Bible again, and saying that it teaches us about the food, and it teaches us how to keep ourselves healthy. It also teaches us of all these what we're just talking about.
Vaccines.
No, we'll have to cut this bit. I've gone off track. Where were we up to?
Of just eating healthy.
Eating healthy. No, there's something you said.
Well, it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So what do you think, though, like, is the most important? Like, what have you learned from the Bible that shook you or really put you on the straight and narrow?
I think the thing is, the more that I saw happening in the world, the more I saw it related to the Bible, and the more I realised that I could very well be going to hell. And if I'm going to be scared of anything, shouldn't it be that? Like I say, I'm not a fearful man, but if I am going to fear of something, surely it should be where I might have to spend the rest of my life. Eternity.
Do you think, though, like, a lot of Christians are lukewarm and they don't even think about heaven and hell, and also they don't even think about the devil?
I know people that proclaim to be Christians who are 100% lukewarm. And they'll say, I believe in God, but then you'll see them doing all the wrong things. And
living for the world.
Living for the world. But I don't think, without really realising they're living for the world, I think it's just that I don't think they really understand what being a Christian and believing in God is about. So even though they say they believe in God, I don't think they necessarily understand what that actually means and entails to say that you truly believe in God. And I think they still want to live for themselves to a certain extent, and they still want these
pleasures of the world,
pleasures of the flesh,
pleasures of the flesh,
and
like we learnt in churches that what it becomes the biggest is what we feed. So if you're feeding the flesh, that is what will grow. If you're feeding the soul dimension, that's what will grow. But if you're feeding the spirit, which the spirit is the closest to God and what goes to heaven, then that will grow. And most people are feeding the flesh, aren't they? Ego, pride, lust.
100%.
Like, we are under.
That's why you look at let's say, for instance, let's just look at the way the world's changed in sexual immorality, for instance.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, you used to have your top shelf magazines, and there was two the top shelf in the news agent would have all the sexual immorality on it, all the pornographic magazines and things like that. Now, look at where we're at. Now look at where they're at, where you can just click on a website that it says, "Are you over 18?"
Yeah.
This is sort of admitting I've looked, isn't it?
Because no, it's not that you've looked. I went on something the other day. It was something just really that you didn't expect, and on the side of it was young, beginning with H, when they say they're, looking for whatever, and I just thought it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I mean, I've got a son who is 14, and the stuff I've seen on his phone from the moment he had it at 11, 12 is barbaric.
And all he needs to do is click on the button that says, "I am over 18."
But not even that.
And he might
it's
be
what's
12.
Being shared. It's not even that. He
Or
doesn't even
what
have to
gets
do that. It's
shared
shared.
Or
It's
gets
what's
shared around
But
through
not
me.
just what gets shared. It's what the girls are actually sending. They are now so desensitized and groomed by social media and darkness and demonic over sexualization that they think it's normal at 13 to strip off. I mean, most paedophiles don't even need to groom young girls anymore. They're already doing it.
It's not just the internet and things like that have brought this into how prolific it is now. Look at what they're being educated.
Yeah. Look
at what at 5 years old that they're starting to be educated, and education in sex and things like that is starting at such a younger and younger age.
Being introduced to it.
And not just normal stuff. By the time you get to 12, I saw some books that were, I think it was Scotland, and they were teaching like proper amoral stuff in these texts to school children, and teachers are willingly teaching that sort of that immorality onto kids. And I see that sort of darkness a lot more. I can't remember the point why.
But when you've gone down the rabbit holes we have of truth of Satan and what he's doing, then this is just, we knew this was coming and it's happening. I mean, it's just part and parcel of what they're doing. This is their plan.
We've
their
been
agenda.
signalled to it.
Yeah.
We can shout about it, and at least we're sort of a last barrier, if you like, people like you and I, a last barrier to say, no, we're not going to put up with that, or to at least try and push back against it. I see parents that go into school boards and question these things, and that's what we need in life. And they're awake parents, and I find most parents that are awake and speaking truth are also Christian.
You see, I don't know, because what I've noticed is, you can grab your coffee if you want. I've noticed that this is what the enemy has done. He's got these people, they've been woken up, they've gone through all these rabbit holes as like we have, but they've gone so far from God. They believe in everything, they know everything about everything, but they've just not put the dots together when it comes to the conspiracy about God and Jesus, because that's the biggest conspiracy of them all.
Of course,
is that the devil has completely blocked every single human being from knowing their Lord and Saviour through 50 million different religions, through this, through that, through unbelief, through whatever. He's blocked them
from watering down the church,
from creating different religions. He's covered every base. But the real conspiracy is that this person exists. He is who he says he is. He is the Son of God, in essence God, and people are just running around knowing all the facts about all of these very important things, but it's like when it comes to God, it's like, oh no, and that's what I find.
I can agree with you to a certain extent on that, but I think that a lot of people that also have been down these rabbit holes, like I have, and I think that's why we have got more of an awakening. I do feel that there is definitely more of an awakening to Christianity and to Jesus and to church, and I see it more on social media being mentioned now. You know, kids, younger kids preaching in the streets and things, and I think that once you've been down enough rabbit holes and you've gone deep enough, that for me they lead to this fight between good and evil, and you realise that it's real. It's not just a fake fight. It's not. It's two real things. You know, there's goodness and there's bad. There's light and there's dark, and the real things. They're not just words. It's not just make believe. It's not Game of Thrones and stuff like that. It's an actual. It's real stuff that's happening, and it's being done by evil people. And there's good people that are trying to fight these things that are being done, but it's all real, and that's what these rabbit holes led me down to believing that and trusting in God and in Jesus. And I still even now really is researching all this kind of stuff, but I've seen evidences of Jesus, you know, and people say it's just make believe, it's just fairy tales and blah blah blah, but there's evidence out there. You know, there's evidence that the floods happened in the Noah's time.
It's everything.
There's so much evidence.
Even the Red Sea, they have found footprints embedded in at the bottom of the seabed, chariot wheels. You know, when they crossed the Red Sea, they found all that. They found where the Noah's Ark was landed, or not landed, but sat on one of the mountains. Like the blood that they tested from Jesus is only coming up with one chromosome. You know, all these different things, the evidence. Well, put it this way, any scientist or like someone in that genre who goes to extreme lengths to prove that Jesus didn't exist all end up giving their life to him because they realise this is true.
There's so much evidence of it that show me as much evidence to prove that some little bacteria in water crawled out onto the sand.
But it's a theory, you know, they have...
It's a theory. That's what people miss. But theory, like the Big Bang theory.
But they're just, what they're doing is no one, the world has created
but it's taught
everyone.
As fact.
Because it's taught as fact. Because it's taught
from the time
school.
You go to school, it's taught as fact.
Like the shape of the world, the fact is that they have drummed in. I mean, the fact is, they were already operating, we were using flat earth maps, and then all of a sudden it just went into this being round. And then this is when I really didn't care about flat earth movement, but when I opened up the Bible and seen in chapter 1 in Genesis when it said the firmament about 5 times, and
I think it's mentioned about 12 times altogether.
It is, but you do know they've taken it out now. So it's been taken out now. So recent Bible translations, you cannot find firmament it's not in there. It's now. So anyone
use void.
So anyone like me. So when I opened the Bible up and I read that, and I had already been hearing about flat earth, I nearly fell off my chair. And God was like, boom, revelation. And then I thought, within that moment, I realised God was saying to me, they are making this book incredible to every length. They do not want you opening this book and realising this is the truth, because if then people know that the firmament that's the truth, then they're going to know God's real, and that's all he wants to do is discredit that book.
That's all that's about.
All that it's about.
The flat Earth conspiracy, if you like. It's hard, isn't it? Because you see all these fancy pictures from NASA. Pictures from NASA that aren't even of the Earth.
No.
They just make. I think there's about 12 different Earth pictures. I don't think there's one picture that NASA has ever taken of Earth.
No.
And yet they've got all these satellites up there.
Well,
it's like the moon landings. So
no one's been back.
So no one's been back, but
because they've not got the technology.
They've lost the technology to get back to the moon. They landed on the moon, and then the very last mission. This is a good one because it was the very last mission on the moon, and the aircraft took off at the end, left the moon. Yeah. Now remembering, like, you know, they're not leaving equipment up there and stuff like that. As far as we know, they've certainly never said they left equipment up there. Who was filming it?
I know.
Who was
filming
the wind.
It was windy on
the flag was windy. How did they get the beach buggy that they drove around on the moon?
Because it was in a Hollywood studio, that's why. And every single...
How did they get it into that little spaceship?
But every single, like, Buzz Aldrin and all the...
Buzz Aldrin.
It's not, we never went, they're all admitting
Buzz Aldrin said it a few times.
He said it a few times, they've all said it, they won't swear on the Bible to dispute it. And then you've got the fact that all these elites use the Flat Earth logo in all of their... So the World Health Organization,
UN,
all of them, they use it in plain sight to mock you because they know the truth.
Yeah.
And no, it's not going to change your life, but what you have to understand is when you realise that they have gone to that extent. I mean, let's face it, there's not a day that goes by that we don't see a round globe somewhere. Yeah. They put it in the
from
books.
Day one, from being born.
They put it in your, we've got globes that we have for our kids. They put it everywhere you see, they shove it in our face, globe, because if they can put it in your brain enough times, then you will truly believe it.
And you'll feel an idiot for not believing it.
Just like they did with 9/11, they pre-programmed everything beforehand. It's in all different things. The Simpsons, even the dollar bill. Some American bills you can fold it and see them.
The Twin Towers.
Everything is pre-planned. Like it really is all there to be seen. But the fact is, the biggest conspiracy is they don't want you knowing that Jesus Christ exists and he can do what he's done for us and for other people.
And if you was the devil, have you ever read the poem If I Were the Devil?
Yeah.
And if you were the devil, that's all the things that you would do. You would want to hide that Jesus is or God or anything like that is relevant in your life.
Please tell me you've seen Chat GBT, which is demonic in every sense, where they write, what would you do if you were the devil or you were God? It's literally, they tell you everything, their agenda and their plan through that, of what they would do and what they're doing and all that. So it's just all there. And number one, the devil doesn't want people to know he exists at all. He does not want to know, because then if you believe in the devil, you've got to believe in God.
Yeah.
And that's what I watched a documentary the other day, and when things were going, it's a certain time, I think about 100 years ago or something, and it was all maybe 80, and there was this Satanism boom. Well, he went right under the radar because he thought, no, we can't have people thinking that I exist, because then they're going to look to God for the opposite. And he just fell off the face of the planet and kept very subtle. He changes his tactics. He's been around since, he was in heaven with
he's the master
God.
manipulator.
Master manipulator, father of lies. And if people don't think that, they're not being deceived on the daily. And like I say to people, it doesn't matter if you don't believe it, doesn't make it not true.
Exactly. This is what I say to people. True. This is what, like I was saying before, just because I've said this to many friends, that just because you don't believe in God, I said, for one friend, for instance, said, you don't believe in God. I said, your dad believes in God. I said, does your dad believe in God? He says, my dad believes in God. He really believes in God. So I said, well, just like your dad believes in God, I said, there's hundreds of people out there who believe in the devil, just like your dad, and hundreds of people believe in God. Yeah. And there is these people, and it's the devil works slyly.
Oh.
He works slyly, and he controls people slyly, and he puts people in positions where he can use them, just as God puts people in positions where he can use it. It's basically like a game of chess.
It is a constant.
Constant
and
game
also
of chess.
people need to realise as well, especially Christians, is that, you know, the whole setup in heaven with God and everything is God is the judge, Jesus is the lawyer, our lawyer, and the devil is the accuser. And it's like a court system. And it says in Book of Job, it goes over about how, you know, he is the accuser. He comes up and he asks Satan, I can make Job go against you and do this, and God allows the devil to take him to the brink, like he does with all of us, to test us. You know, he's not playing a wicked game, but this is why people say lawyers would make the best born again Christians, because the lingo that you're meant to use, it should equate to like a court system. We should treat it like a court system, because that's what the devil does. He's constantly going to God saying, look, you said in this X, Y, and Z, so they're mine. And God is like, no, you know, you're not. But that's how he's always accusing. And Jesus, of course, is, you know, like our lawyer, the one who is there to back us up. But God is the judge. He's the judge at the end of the day. And it's very interesting, that whole, but Book of Job mentions it and other things. But I think people like just need to educate themselves on not just going down rabbit holes about stuff, but you do need to know how the enemy works. You need to...
I think if you want to live, no one needs to do anything, do they? Because you can't make anyone do anything.
No.
But I think if people want to be... Personally, I think if people want a happy, a healthy, and a meaningful life, then you need to ask some questions.
Yeah.
And you need to ask yourself some biggish questions. So first of all, you need to think, one of the questions could be, well, how do I look after myself and the food side of it? And another question could be, how am I going to get through the next 10 years of my life in this situation I'm in?
Yeah.
But the biggest question you need to ask yourself is about God, for me, because surely if we all lived like the Bible said, then it'd be on earth like it is in heaven.
Yeah.
And that's what the prayer is all about.
Yeah.
And the more people that can believe in God and understand the word of God, then the closer to that we're going to get.
Yeah.
At the minute, it seems a million miles away, but like I say, it's getting better. There's definitely more people talking about these kind of issues and about God. And I never used to have conversations with my mates about God and things, but you know, I'll do it now, and they'll join in as well. It's not just something that's dismissed out of hand quite like it was.
Don't you think it's crazy? And we'll wrap it up in a minute, but crazy to think, right? God has made us, okay? He's intricately made us, knows every hair on our head, knitted us in our mother's wombs, put us on this earth for a purpose. Really, you know, hoping and praying that we follow him and lean on him and come to him and then end up in heaven for eternity in wonderful peace and everything. But yet it can go so wrong, so messed up while we're here, and the obstacles and the enemy infiltrating and blocking, and how that people are going through life completely unaware of what is to come at that last breath. Yeah,
and at one time this was all taught to us, because when I was a child, my infant school, virtually every school had some form of religion taught to you. So Christian religion taught to you. So I was singing Onward Christian Soldiers. We were doing prayer every morning at assembly, every single morning. And now just 30-40 years on from there, it's frowned upon, you know, and you've got some parents will even object to these things being taught.
Which shows the level of
their non-understanding.
And the spirit of disbelief that's been put on them.
And the spirit of evil that's
and it's generation to
way.
generation, because I've gone through deep spiritual warfare and I've really got to the nitty-gritty of stuff, and I've had deep conversations with God, and my gosh, if you aren't knowing about what's past, what the devil can pass through each generation. Why do you think so many generations of atheists after the other, if no one's breaking the cycle,
then it never gets broken. It's like alcoholism. I know Pastor Stevens mentioned that before in the past, and it just takes that one generation to break the cycle.
It just takes one person to
break it, for that generation, and then it'll follow through with like it says, you know, if you believe and you break that cycle and you turn to God, then your family is going to be blessed. You're going to break that chain, you know. It's like hereditary diseases when they're mentioned. I'm not a big believer in that kind of thing. You know, I know my dad had cancer for 20 years, so I could be going through now thinking, I'm going to get cancer. I don't believe in that. I don't believe I will get cancer.
No, in Jesus' name you won't get cancer.
Exactly.
We have life and death on our tongues, and people don't understand this.
Exactly. So, and surely that's a better approach than just walking through life thinking, I'm going to get cancer, or I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that, because you don't believe and you don't have hope and you don't have faith that you're not going to get these things because of God and because of what we've been given by God.
People just need to open the Bible, and even if they just want to just test it out and see what's in there, but they will find all the truths in that Bible. It's alive, it teaches you, it's given us advice, it shows us how to eat, how to act, what to do, and not just to control us, but to keep us out of the trouble that we're in, the deep dark despair that we found ourselves in. It's a book to guide us, to basically, it's not to hinder us, it's to help us. It's not to control us and oppress us, it's to literally take us out of chains of bondage that Satan, who runs this world, has put us in.
Exactly.
And that's that. So what would you say to anyone who is, you know, like you, was like you, who, you know, was in that same boat and found themselves, you know, questioning?
I'd say keep questioning. Always question. I've been an inquisitive sort since I was a kid, and I've always questioned authority, including my mum and dad's when I thought they were wrong, and including teachers at school when I thought they were wrong. I've been open to questioning authority always, but that doesn't say I don't believe in authority. It just means to say I'll question it when I think it's wrong. But I would say keep questioning things and keep following your rabbit holes. If you're down a rabbit hole, keep following to the conclusion and see if you can find a different conclusions than me, but I'm pretty confident you won't, and I think you find that the answer to most of these conspiracies lies in the simple thing that we said at the start, which is a fight between good and evil. And it'll all lead you eventually to one book and one word, and that's the word of God. And I think if you live your life by the book, and you live your life by the words it says in the Bible, that you're going to be healthier, you're going to be happier, peace. And you're going to be a more stable, rounded person, I think.
And just to end it, because obviously this is what it's all about, is peace. When you finally had that eureka moment with God and he turned your life around, do you have more peace now than before?
I have God? A lot more peace with everything, I think. I'm a lot more So, for instance, I said like how I'd get hot-headed when I was explaining things. It came across as anger,
Yeah.
so it helps me temper that. I've always
Yeah.
been a bit of a hothead, so it helps me temper that, and it just basically is an influence of good on my life generally.
Yeah.
Just everything.
Yeah.
Just everything, I think. Every aspect of life, mentally, physically. I just think having that faith gives you that confidence, and you can move forward through life with more confidence, and it makes you a stronger, better person, I think. For me.
Well, without peace, you just can't function, do anything really very well, can you? It's not a great life
When
to
your
live.
mind's in turmoil, then your life's in turmoil.
Everything.
When your mind's calm and at peace, then your life's going to be calm and at peace.
And truly, we cannot find peace without God, can we?
No.
There's no such thing as peace.
Well, every time God's taken away, look at conflicts around the world and things like that. Every time God's taken away, it just there's more conflict.
Exactly,
created.
and he does remove himself from certain places. Like in the Bible, where did he completely take himself out of? Was it Sodom and Gomorrah? There's certain parts of the Bible where he's left that place, and then it's just all hell's broken loose.
Yeah.
And truly, people, this is what I think, and you just have to look into people's true life testimonies on YouTube. But truly, you think that you're doing all right without God, but you don't even understand how much God is in your life. And if he wasn't, and he stripped you of that, you'd soon know. You would know. So don't just think that because you're making good money and you're all happy and everything's going well and you've got no turmoil and whatever. Well, if God was to remove that, you would know. You would know. And it's him that's giving you them blessings and hoping that you will connect the dots. But anyway, we made it in the end.
A few technical issues.
We've done it.